Hello beautiful souls, I'm Kim Fairminer and welcome back to my channel. Today we're exploring the powerful influence of the nodal axis and eclipses and how to harness the mystical energy of the moon in our daily lives. The following video is an extract from my 2024 astrological preview and it will get you up to speed for the upcoming eclipse season. Share the love with a like, comment and don't forget to subscribe. Let's dive in. So in a way, I feel that the newness of 2024 won't be fully experienced until we enter eclipse season in late March. And, we've got eclipses, we've got that Mercury retrograde, we've got this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Like it's really all happening, around that April time. All right, so let's talk about the eclipses. Eclipses are always important. The moon is the closest planet to Earth. She, goes round and round us, whereas all the other planets, including Earth, go around the sun. So there's this special relationship to the moon. And the nodal axis is like the high point to the north, if you will, of the moon's orbit. And the south node, Ketu, is the low point. And in many stories, this high point and low point are represented by a dragon. And in the Indian tradition, this dragon was cut in half. There's this idea too of this demonic figure. That's what Rahu and Ketu are. Like they're churning up the ocean. And that describes the emotional, chaotic influence of eclipses. They're amazing, but I don't like to play with dragons. Some people, some astrologers are right into it, but I'm a little bit shy, I guess, and don't really like to sort of wade in there. So all through 2024, the nodal axis, and it wobbles around a bit, so I work with the mean node, continue its journey through Aries, where the north node is, and Libra, where the south node is. And that will continue spotlighting the me versus we issues, independence versus partnerships and collaborations. So that's especially important if you have planets or points in Aries and Libra. And you'll continue to work through those relationship challenges that you've been negotiating in the year ahead. And of course, we've all got Aries and Libra somewhere in our chart. So we're just kind of continuing to work those themes and going through these accelerated learnings around eclipse time. I find eclipses tend to act as portals, and I always get the Twilight Zone music in my head when I think of eclipses. I see Belinda smirking there. You must be old enough to remember it too. I don't know, for younger people, maybe Black Mirror, it's like reality, but not as you know it. And maybe you don't want to know about it, although that's probably a bit more of an extreme version. So I find like eclipses are like an express doorway and they help you to leap into a new reality, sometimes before you're fully ready. So they're close to the eclipse people, myself, I've been there, we all have. We can be overly reactive and there's a sense of urgency sometimes and a tendency to accelerate situations, which the nodal axis are like aggravating there. So this nodal axis quietly works in the background. And if we're not working with it consciously, it kind of tends to come up and bite us in the bum at the eclipse. So some astrologers connect the nodes to concepts of fate and karma. I tend to think of it as a shower. The north node is the, incoming energy, the cleansing shower head, and the south node, what we're letting go or draining away. The north node's said to be hungry and materialistic, whereas the south node is unconscious and leads to spiritual liberation. But that's all very like polar opposites, and these two work in conjunction, so you can't kind of like work with one without the other, although we tend to sort of favor one end of the dragon at a time. So my eclipse motto is don't poke the dragon, And this particular dragon, it could be your partner, your ex, your enemy, your hero, could be a competitor or a collaborator. And when you're kind of engaged with this other person, the we to your me, it could feel like looking into a funhouse mirror, and reflections can be a bit distorted. And there's this tendency to project, which can be, good projection and not owning your own beautiful qualities, or it could be you're projecting your shadow self. So there's a whole lot of stuff to unpack with eclipses. They're never dull, that's for sure. Okay, so these are the dates for the eclipses. I'm putting all the dates and the degrees on screen, so you don't have to rush making mad notes while I'm talking. Yeah, and I'll send this recording out in a day or two. So you'll notice there that in September, we actually have our first eclipse of the coming Pisces Virgo cycle in September. This is more of a prelude for 2025 when the mean node moves into Pisces in January 2025. And that particular eclipse in September is super Neptunian. So you've got the full moon in Pisces, close to Neptune. So it's like you just won't be getting anything done that day. You might be crying, you could be lost, you could be high, heavily meditated or medicated, or days deep into a Netflix binge. It's a great day to take off from work, go to the sea, go to church, visit an art gallery. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's very very cruisy, it's very numinous, and it's not overly productive. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. We need these times that we're not always doing. We can do a bit of being around that eclipse. After the eclipse, though, the sun, which is in Virgo, forms a grand trine with Uranus in Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn. So there's this kind of, jolting. Not jolting. It's not, I don't think it will be unpleasant, but it's getting back to the reality of work and also being in your physical body. So you're free to wander off and go for a spacewalk, fully knowing that you'll be back in your body safely in a day or so. It's really quite, anchoring and grounding after the woo of Neptune. But as you'll see from that list of eclipses, we're super focused still on Aries and Libra. So it's important with astrology not to get ahead of yourself. It's a real pitfall, actually, when you can look into the future and make these forecasts and prognostications. Is that a word? I don't know. Mercury is retrograde. It is today. So I find that you need to sort of anchor your moment in the present before you're looking in the future, and knowing why you're doing what you're doing and what you're going to do with the information that you bring back. So we don't actually have time to sort of look at every eclipse tonight, but this is something that I do with my membership circles, and they'll be running again in 2024. So working with the planets, and particularly the moon, is really fulfilling for me personally, and it's also super useful professionally. I know menstrual cycle tracking is having a bit of a moment with business planning for online business communities for women, and I love it. But for my business, I tend to lean towards the lunar cycle, the moon in the sky, because it's more predictable and it also taps into the collective mood, whereas the menstrual cycle is more about what's happening in our own bodies. And obviously not everybody menstruates. So you might have noticed that this Zoom call is actually just after the recent Sagittarius new moon, and that was to catch the waxing cycle, even though there's not much sort of lunar light at this, waxing crescent moon. But it's moving through the top of my own chart, and I've got a couple of other cute aspects. And so in very simple terms, the top of your chart is your public life, and the bottom half is your private life. So here I am, giving a talk, a little bit late, thanks Mercury, while the top of my chart is active. All right, so here is a little bit of information on those group circles, because it wouldn't be a webinar without a bit of self-promotion. The astrology circle is for anyone looking to build and consolidate their astrological and magical practice. So that's about forging your personal relationship with your planetary allies and doing astrology. We have a lovely group. We get together, we talk about what's happening in our own life, which planets sort of, making the most impact. We share, magic as well, because I'm a big believer in astrology not just being kind of like a one-way communication, like the planet says something and we go yes. We can talk back, and we can build our relationship and have conversations with these planets. And it's an amazing community to share your experiences and learn from. We do a live meeting every month. There are lunation forecasts, and also access to 3 self-paced courses which cover foundation astrology, moon magic, and dreaming. The groups are small and intimate because that's how I do my best work as a facilitator. So you'll be able to relax, get known by fellow members, feel seen, and enjoy personalized attention. If you'd like to get in touch with me, here are my contact details. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook or good old-fashioned email.